Hello and welcome to my latest video. The subject for this one is a Mark 1 Vauxhall Victor. It's a Vanguards toy and my original intention was to use it for the Ashes Challenge back in December. Unfortunately for me, life and a lot of other things got in the way and I didn't quite get to do it. So sat back, had a rethink, and I hope you enjoy the results. Well, there she is. New in the box. Brand new second-hand, as we call it around here, from eBay. So really quite a nice model. And I was told people don't do Vanguards, and they don't, obviously because they're pretty new, I suppose. But having been told that they're not popular and that Vauxhalls are not popular either, that was all I needed to hear. I decided it got to be a Vauxhall, it got to be this one, and it definitely got to be a Vanguards. My first reservation was I understood that they had plastic bases, but that's clearly not the case. Came with this little certificate. It hadn't even had its wing mirrors put on from the enthusiastic collector who'd owned it previously. I'll put them to one side because clearly I won't be needing those. It's a nice little model, they're nicely made. I always loved the Vauxhall Victors, never got the chance to own one because by the time I got a driving licence in my hand, most of them had been turned into dustbins or rockeries in the bottom of people's gardens. So I never got to own my own Mark 1 Vauxhall Victor. Oh, we've pulled it apart, usual kind of rivet drilling procedure. And I'm just stripping it down now. It's quite nicely made. Chrome plastic bumper coming off. The interior's out. Pop it in the box. Even the interior is in a couple of pieces. There's, I think, goes the windscreen. Flying across the table. Gonna have to get a bit of extra help on prising them. Drilling the rivet out obviously wasn't sufficient, and it's still gripping the tab that holds the bumpers in place. So just a couple of nips with the sprue cutters and a bit of violence with the pointy tool from my snap-on set, and with a bit of luck there'll be no bloodshed and the bumper will be off. Well, there she goes. Looks like it might have landed in next door's garden. Oh, there it is. And there's the body. Next up will be a caustic soda stripping, which on this occasion I won't be showing. Well, at this point, I'd already built a couple of ladder bars on the underneath of the chassis because my intention was to go for a kind of raised gasser look. In the 80s, when I used to buy such things as Street Machine and Custom Car Magazine, there was two vehicles, both had a connection to something called Stu Valance. One was called the Roaring Rat, which was a 57 Chevrolet, sky high, needed a ladder to get into, and then later a bright yellow one called Henry High Rise. I always loved them, although I never actually saw them in the flesh. So I decided that this would be my little turn at making my own kind of high-rise gasser style dragster. I've already dropped a base coat on him, and now I'm just going in with a bit of wicked detail black to bring the base back to the colour, and also I'm going to paint the ladder bars that I've built chrome at a later stage, and this will provide a nice base for the chrome paint I'm going to use. It's all the usual drill, 40 psi. There we go, that's going on underneath quite neatly there. I've had this wicked paint for years, but I very rarely use it. We've got so much other auto air stuff and Tamiya that I tend to pick up first. I'm sure I'll get round to using more of it in due course. There we go, and out with the brush, and I'm just highlighting these ladder bars with mirror finish paint, which is it's a nice paint, and it's very horrendously expensive. Probably one of the dearest paints I've ever bought for the size of the pot. But it takes an age to dry. I mean, I probably did this 8 to 10 days ago, and arguably it's not really what I'd call dry yet. So I don't mind using it on small detail parts like this that are unlikely to get touched, and I've got all the time in the world to dry out thoroughly. But I don't think I'd use it on anything else. Certainly not on the sides of the body where you pick them up, because I feel it'd wipe it off. So that's the kind of don't recommend from me. It's made by an artist called Stuart Semple, who's constantly advertising his wares across the internet, and also does a product called the Blackest Black, I believe, or the Pinkest Pink, and everything's always the brightest and the best. Can't speak for the other products, I haven't bought any, but the mirror, for our purposes at least, I wouldn't bother with again. Progressing it all very slowly. This builds are going to seem a little bit kind of odd, the pattern that it went in, and the reason for that is because it had such a struggle with it. So the filming got done in a bit of a random way. You know, just getting the drilling out the rivets ready for the case to be put back together again. And at this point, I don't think I've even stripped the paint from the bodywork. But I thought it was important to show this bit of the process, even though I have to admit it's not one of my favourite parts. Right, well, I've decided to put a hood scoop on, so I've got it pinched up in the soft jaw voice, and I'm going to use a little Archimedes drill to pinpoint the corners first. Nice little thing. I think they're used more. I think that they are used in model making, but I think they're used more often in jewellery making. Quite surprising how quick and how well they work for the size of them. I don't think I've got the greatest drill bit in them, but I got it through, so that was kind of the main thing. So we're onto the jeweler's saw now. Now, if you enjoy breaking blades, I suggest you get one of these as soon as you can, because they are great for what they do, but the blades do give up the ghost fairly quickly. This particular job was probably one of the most successful results I had. I think I got 2/3 of all of the cutting done before I had to replace the broken blade. But I've jumped a stage or two because it isn't the most exciting thing in the world watching a little saw blade popping up and down. But it's just another little aspect, I suppose, of building a custom. Not the sort of thing you need when you were restoring too much, but certainly if you're modifying and customizing, then it could be an handy little purchase. They're not particularly expensive. They usually come with about 50 blades, which sort of gives you an indication of the expected life of the blade when you put it in. Making a nice little pile of Mazak trimmings on the top of the desk, which I'm going to get in the neck for afterwards when the boss lady spots it. Oh, there we go. The hole's out. In with the French files. These are those supposedly diamond coated hobby store files, which are not bad really for the money, I suppose, but it's a bit time consuming getting where you want to go, but it all comes out nicely in the finish. And it's kind of test to see whether I've taken enough out, and obviously I've got to go back and do a bit more. And at this point I think got where I'm trying to go. There we go, shaker scoop in place. Lovely. Time to get some primer. Now, here's the thing you don't see me very often. I'm using a rattle can primer here. I've had endless problems with the paint on this, and this was actually, I think, painting session number 2 or 3 when I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to use this self-etching primer, which I bought for actually painting a brass instrument for somebody some years ago, and it bites into the metal and hangs on a little bit better. And it must have done something for me, because this was a paint job that finally stuck. Never had so much trouble with something in my life. Time to start laying it up. The final colour now, which is this JVR Paints Lime Green. Hence I picked up on the title of Solyent Green, because this is every bit as much of a misery as the people in the movie Solyent Green were enduring. Usual story, nice light coats. And then a bit of hairdryer action in between coats to dry it out. It's lying down nicely though, but as I said, previously had endless problems with it. Paint reactions, ripples, bubbles, you name it, I had it. I strongly suspect this was a cursed build and it was never really meant to be finished. But I powered on, because I knew you all wanted to see this video. Not. It's going down quite well. You can see just in the top right hand corner of the screen I was flashing it off between coats, back in with the green again now. I quite like it. It's got that kind of authentic one colour gasser look. At one point I was going to put some decals on it, but having had so many issues putting the paint on, I just wasn't willing to risk it. Well, it's going on, it's sticking, quit while you're in front. It's not exactly what you want to hear ordinarily in these type of films, but I do like to say it how it is, and this was most definitely how it is. I'm going to give it a spot on the shelf. It's going to be its spot. No one else is ever going in that spot. No one else is ever going near it. And I should be loath to dust it when the eventual dust starts to land on it. It's a cursed object as far as I'm concerned. And it'll be a while before I pick up another one. More light coats. Nice and even there. And that's the end of that. So I've got the paint on the chassis. The large back wheels came from I think it was a Matchbox Benetton racing car from some kind of 80s thing. Always hated it. It was broken anyway. So this gave me the perfect excuse to liberate the wheels and tyres and sling the rest in the dustbin. So on they go. Super gluing them in place there. And I use the centres out of the original tyres, reversed, the hubcaps, reversed to kind of try and give them the look of a bit of a centre line wheel that were the thing in the day. And it's not brilliant, but it kind of works. It pulls it off. I'm happy enough with it. And these are the original wheels going back on the front for that kind of big and little look. And likewise, I've reversed the hub centres on these to match them up to the back. It gives it a kind of a look. They're quite a shiny chrome, but I kind of repainted them over in an alloy paint, aluminium paint, to dull them down a fraction. Just using the zip kicker there to send it off. That's got it. That's going nowhere now, and we have a roller. I decided to tint the screen, and this is something I hadn't actually done before, but I've seen people painting the insides of spoons practicing for radio controlled cars, because my understanding is that they often paint the inside of the blown plastic shell rather than the outside. Probably preserves the paint a bit longer till they eventually split, because they're made for the life of rough and tumble, I think. And this is another wicked colours paint, same one that I used on the chassis on the car, but thin slightly and only in a one quick coat. Came out pretty well, I thought. So as you can see, my bit of black velvet's out, which must mean it's assembly time. And with various coats of paint, pop it in. I haven't used any glue, don't think it'll need any. Not going to come apart anytime soon. Right. And there's my tinted windscreen going in. I did the rear quarter and the back screen and left the fronts clear, because I seem to recall having seen a few of them done like that back in the day, and I thought it was a pretty cool look, and the black goes quite well with the lime green anyway. Slip the seats in now, and the steering wheel, dashboard all in one. Didn't bother doing anything with these. It's a small scale, and I wasn't particularly concerned about doing anything with the interior on this one. Just pop this into place, and then I believe the front bumper goes on next. Quite nice chrome detail on these Vanguards cars, I must say. I can see why people collect them. Although we're kind of more inclined to pick up the older stuff. In the restoration trail, I'm just confidently showing that to nobody in particular. I missed the camera by miles on that one. So back bumper, all under one clip with suspension. Not that I'll be using any of the original suspension points on this particular build anyway, but quite a nice thing. Little bit of trouble lining it up. As Martin Dare often comments, it's a bugger trying to see around the camera and do these things, especially when your eyesight's a bit dodgy, like mine is. There we go. 5th time's the charm, I believe. It's going. Look, press a bit harder. Don't worry, it won't break. Look at that. Like it grew there. And then we go with the all-important high-rise chassis. Line up them rivets. Give it a nudge. Super glue the rivets in. And before we know where we are, in she goes. I'm handy using the forceps for the rivets, because if I'd have been trying to hold them with my fingers, there would have been a nice video of me picking them up off the floor 27 times. Poking them with a kebab stick, that's the way to do it. There we go, go back in with the snap-on pokey tool. There we go, you saw that go home probably. Flick it over. It's still rolling. Wowzers. And there we go, the big reveal. I'm pretty pleased with it, considering the fight that it put up. As I say, there it is, the Vanguards MK1 F-Type Vauxhall Victor. I filled in the back doors, took out the quarter panel in the rear to kind of give it more of an authentic two-door look. Big fat slicks on the back there, courtesy of a Bennett and Racing car. The original wheels on the front, but with the hubcaps reversed to match up and kind of give it a bit of an alloy look. Shaker scoop, cut a hole in the bonnet and pop the scoop through. And I've put another Vanguards toy, unmolested, beside it for a kind of comparison on the look and the height. Hope you've enjoyed this little video presentation as much as I grudgingly enjoyed doing it. And I hope you'll consider watching another one. From me, till the next time, thanks very much for watching. Thanks to all you subscribers out there, casual viewers. Thanks to everybody. You're making an old man very happy, or as it says on the card, at least less distressed. Thank you so much. Bye.